did you attend? The TPT?
Ma'am?
Which training did you attend?
Certified trained trainer, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So good to see you again, Dr. Hari.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Today is my first class, ma'am.
We missed you in the earlier three. Okay. So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all are there. I'm glad at least two cameras are on. Thank you, Gaurav. And thank you, sir. But your name doesn't appear.
Mr. Sanjay.
Mr. Sanjay. Okay. Ravi sir, Atul sir, Tej sir, thank you very much for the video. Payal, very thankful. It's nice to see a few faces. Otherwise, it's like talking to a blank wall, and I don't know whether, I'm getting through or not. So thank you very much. Welcome to class number 4. This is the second last class I'm taking. Thereafter, the subject will be continued by another eminent faculty, Dr. Sanjay. So we have looked at till date the theories. So we looked at all the learning theory, Cope cycle, etc., etc. In the last class, we also looked at a number of training methodologies. Some we are still going to do in detail in the subsequent classes. Some we have covered, given an overview. Today, we will look into actually how to design an activity. So now we are getting into the nitty-gritties. So rather than just telling you what is to be done, let's experience it. So I'm going to request Gurvinder here to put you into breakout rooms. Okay, so we are about 60 of us. We'll be having 6 to 7 breakout rooms. What do you need to do in the breakout room? You need to design a training activity, experiential training activity. Okay, the topic is you are going to take you are going to be conducting a training program on communication skills. One of the topic that you need to cover is active listening, and for that you need to come up with a training activity. So a fairly generic training program or the topic is I have chosen. Now, how do we go about it? In the 15 minutes that you have, you design an activity. So you tell me exactly which activity you're going to do, how you're going to proceed, what would be the outcome like, etc. However, typically what happens after a group discussion, we ask one member of the team to present what has been discussed. But we won't be able to do that because we are so many in number. So what we are going to do is I will take the outputs randomly of 1 or 2 breakout rooms. So I'm not telling you which breakout room, but just randomly I will select, and 1 or 2 breakout room people need to present the entire design that they have done. What about the others? Okay. Now we are going to learn through reflective observations. So whenever you're in the breakout room, typically what happens is we ask one person to take down notes and that's it. Don't do that. So each one should have the design with you so that when we discuss it, you can cross-check whatever you have done. Are you on the right track? Does it need any alteration? What do I need to change? How do I need to proceed? What are the good things that I did? What are the things that didn't happen so well? And where do I need to work on? So you will be able to do that only and only if you have that design in front of you. Okay. So keep in mind that when you are in the group, please each person take down their own notes. Also, please make sure that one of you will have to present randomly. I will select any one of the teams. All right, is that okay? Clear? Shall we put you into groups?
Yes, ma'am. So we can join
If
any
you could just
random breakout
tell
room.
what is the target audience that we are designing this for?
Target audience would be middle management people. with
Okay.
about 5 to 7 years of experience. Very good question, Nikita.
Thank you.
All right. So if there are no questions, then Gurvinder, could I request you to put everybody into breakout rooms? You'll get a pop-up message. Please join whichever room you've been invited to. Rabu, you're not able to join in?
Good on, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Rabu.
I think some error, ma'am.
Yes, Rabu? Heathal, did you get a message? Join the group, please.
Ma'am, I unable to do because this control is fully only the sir. COVID.
Why are you not able to join any group?
I don't have, ma'am. Only two persons.
You've been put into a group number 1, room number 1, but it says you have not joined. I'll put you in some one more group. Try there. When you get a pop-up window, please join there.
Room number 5. Room
Yes,
5.
join there. No.
Got it.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, my connection was disconnected.
Okay.
So, I was in Yashoda ma'am's group.
Okay. Which is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which was that? Any idea?
Ma'am, I don't remember that. No, ma'am, I don't remember that.
Okay, Megha. Okay. You are in group 4.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
But it's not allowing me to put you back in the same group.
No, it doesn't work the same way.
Sorry?
Ma'am, you have to log off and then log in back again, Meghaji. Then I think you can just try joining the room.
Megha, is it okay if I just put you in any other room?
Okay, ma'am, fine, that's fine.
Because this is not happening. You'll have to
Yeah.
I
Sometime we
was
need to go.
imagining, sorry,
Yeah,
continue,
yeah,
continue.
please. Sometimes
I
we
was,
need to break the, monotony also to learn something new. So
Yes.
I,
We're,
I actually
we're
like it.
training in that, right?
Yeah,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
even
Right.
you chose the right topic actually. We were, actually practicing active listening there because we were having time constraint and we were so bound to do that. So everyone was, giving their inputs and we were like, kiska note karna hai, kiska note karna hai. It was that hard. So we actually practiced active listening.
Wonderful.
Right,
That
right.
is, so you have not only done the activity, but you have practiced the active listening. And now I know it's the last session of the Sunday. I want you to continue the practice of active listening for the class as well.
if it were in, if we were in together, it would be a more fun. ऐसा मतलब बात करते करते ऐसा लगा कि अगर साथ में होते तो और ज्यादा मजा आता rather than online.
This is a very good example of active learning. This
Yes.
activity is a very good example of active learning.
Wonderful. And
ma'am, the ironical part about your paper in particular is that I practiced your paper. I've actually put it in practice having been a faculty. But if I have to pass your paper, I have to ratta maro and mug up all those colbs and whatnot. That's not going anywhere.
well, look at it this way, Dr. Yashoda. One, it will give you the confidence that yes, whatever I am doing It is time tested and everybody, you know, it is as theories, models put up, and you're on the right track. And it's a reinforcement. Thirdly, sometimes some things we miss out. That will be taken care of, you know. So little things, especially because you're already doing it. So you will realize that, oh, this I do, but ye chota reh gaya tha. If I do that, it will make it even better. So I understand where you're coming from. I find it very amusing, you know, to teach the theory when it's like, अरे ये तो हम लोग करते हैं ना. Why would you have to go back, you know, step back and look at a theory developed in, you know, 1960s and 70s and 80s and then talk about it.
But
But
they're very useful, but
yeah,
it's good to
yes.
know. There's no two ways about it. But you have to mug up a little bit, thoda. That's not going anywhere.
I would, okay, yes, little bit you will need to remember the names and everything at least, but understanding them would really help. Okay, so now randomly I'm going to pick up breakout room number 5. Anybody from that room, please talk about the design that you have activity that you have designed.
Okay, we had Prasanna, we had Siddhartha.
Prasanna is going to do the job, I think, I guess.
Very good, very good.
Designated him, na?
Yeah.
He's going to do it, yeah. Prasanna, go.
You are on mute. Prasanna, you are on mute.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Atul Jain, for reminding me. And what we have planned is we are of 20 numbers. There are 20 in the team where the training is going to be given for the 20 of them, whereas it is being divided into 2 groups, that is a control group and the other normal group, where 10:10 is the ratio. Let us assume that 20 of them, where 10 of them have good behavior and they do behave and they do listen to us and they do say and they do what we say. And the other 10 is opposite to them. They do not listen to us. They are the noise makers. So what we are going to do is, we are just going to illustrate and we are going to tell them that something is going to happen, a kind of training, where we are first going to brief how to behave first. Then there is going to be a experiment being conducted for them. That is, there will be a listener. Let us assume a person from the team A and B. The team A is going to say something, whereas the B will never listen to them. A will be sitting, I will be talking something good. B will be a noisemaker. They will be looking into their mobile. They will be distracting the session, and that happens. First, we are going to brief them how to behave. Later, then, we are going to conduct an experiment that what A is going to say should be listened by B, and they have to ask the questions and they have to follow the norms by them. Later, then, we are going to share the experience. Like a person has to nominate someone from the B sector and they have to ask what I have spoken till now and what have you understood and what is going to be the takeaway from this session. And the last thing is we are going to debrief. We will be debriefing on what the actual happening is, and the last session and the last part will be the feedback of the entire thing. This is what is being planned by our team, and the idea was suggested by Dr. Yashoda to us. And ma'am, please add to the flavor.
Everybody contributed. So basically the intent is when you have 2 people paired up, one of whom talks well and the other is not listening, you know, on the phone and distracted, whereas then they reverse the roles where the person who was distracted is then talking to somebody else. So we get feedback about what the person felt when the other person was a good listener and when the other person is not listening at all. So how would you feel if you were talking to an audience who was not interested, disengaged, couldn't care less, on their mobile phone, so on and so forth? So that's the plan.
Okay, thank you very much. Good activity. So it just to clarify, it is a paired activity. It's not like 2 teams in 2 separate rooms. It's not like that. It's like every single person is paired with another person.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, this activity is going on.
Right.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll have a discussion on this. Okay, let's have somebody from group breakout room number 2. If your activity is the same activity, then let me know. Then we'll go to another breakout room.
Hi, ma'am. Shivani here from Group 2. I'm really sorry, I do not remember all my team members' name, but I'm the one presenting on their behalf. So
Oh.
we have planned a 6-hour activity for a group of 10 participants, which are considered from middle management and 5 to 7 years of experience. The topic is active listening, and the first 15 minutes will go into ice breaking, followed by 15 minutes of expectation setting, where we'll focus on setting the right mindset, why they are here for the training, why is it important for them. Then we would dive into the concept of active listening. Most of the time, people listen to respond than to think and answer. So that is what we are going to cover, followed by an activity which we have named as listen and draw. The 10 participants will be divided into 5 teams. So we are going to pair them up and we'll give them a drawing, let's say a drawing of a robot. So each member of the team will have the drawing in front of them, and the partner they'll select, the partner is not allowed to look at what the drawing is. However, based on the instruction that their partner is providing, the other person has to draw, ask the right set of questions, listen actively, and the more accurate they draw, the more we are going to focus on the communication and active listening aspect of it. And then we'll have the discussion. Post lunch, we have planned on certain role plays and scenario based discussion, followed by what is the summary and the feedback session.
All right. Thank you, Shivani. Shivani, I like the activity part of it, listen and draw. The name
Yes,
also
ma'am.
you have given. But what you actually gave me is a session plan. So please remember, there's a difference between a session plan, which is like a full day session plan. You start with, whatever time, have introductions and an icebreaker, etc. That is a full day session plan, or the full session plan for your training program.
Right.
Okay. I wanted only one activity. You gave me the entire session plan, which is very good. But it is important for you to understand that there is a difference between designing an activity and preparing a session plan.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you, ma'am.
All right. Wonderful. So activities are done very well. Good activities which are talking about or moving towards, or actually giving an experience to the participants and then taking them towards how to listen actively. So when you are designing this activity, what is the first thing that you did? What's the first step? We are talking about designing activities. This was what I told you to do. Now I want to know, how did you come up with this? So what's the first step of any design?
First, we need to think about the challenges of active listening. Then we need to plan, basically. In my cases, I first, thought about the what are the challenges we face while having active listening, and then we need to plan how to overcome or how to, get rid of that challenges.
Okay. Mitin Kataria.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, first of all, ma'am, after you gave us the target audience, I thought of the business operation. First of all, which middle level managers we are talking about? Are they from operations or they from the frontline sales? Then accordingly, I took the decision that what scenario they are facing. If it is an internal customer scenario, employee to manager, or an external customer scenario, a salesperson, a sales manager to a dealer or a distributor or the kind of channel partner. Then accordingly, we designed the activity. Right, for internal scenario, we had another activity, and for external scenario, we had another activity involving both the teams, a participant of 10 people.
Very good. So you've talked about two very important things. Rather than using the word challenges, I would use another alternative word, which actually we are meaning the same thing, and that is, what are my learning outcomes? So you can always say that I want to overcome these challenges. But the word that we have to use while designing is, what are my objectives for this activity?
Right.
So see, active listening involves a lot of things, right from giving your focused attention to questioning skills, to paraphrasing, summarizing. So many things are involved. What is it that you want to teach them? You have to be very clear. And for that, Mithun, what you said is very important. Who is my target audience? All right. So typically for the entire program itself, one, you'll have to talk about, who's your audience. So I liked Nikita's question, that who's the target audience? I would have liked one more question, follow up, probing. Kitne log hai training mein? Because if you have 100 people in front of you, then doing a paired activity is going to be very complex. It's going to take a very long time. You may not get the same result. You will have to tweak the activity. So number of participants also become very, very important. Okay. So all these things you will get in your TNI. What is the objective of the training? कौन सा company है? How many people are going to be attending? Which area are they from? Like Mithun said, are they from sales? Are they from operations? Are they from support? Whatever it is. And the number. So first step important is to understand these objectives. So I'm going to share my screen here. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So what we are going to do is, all right, steps for designing an experiential activity. First step, define the learning objectives. Okay, so whether you want to use challenges to come up with them, or you're going to make your own ideas that, okay, for in this topic, I think my participants would like X, Y, Z, all up to you. But see, after you decide on the objectives, we are going to decide on the activity. Which activity are you going to choose? And therefore, one small thing that I would like you to think about, whether your learning objectives, are they knowledge, skill, or attitude? KSA. Because we're going to link this up with an activity. Okay. So for example, the next portion is you have to choose an experiential methodology. Now we have looked at in our last class itself, we've looked at 13 of them. 7 we are going to do in detail. The rest we had an overview. Other than this, you had given me so many more experiential learning activities. In the manual study material that has been forwarded to you, there are many more activities. But which am I going to do? Am I going for listen and draw? Am I going to have a role play? Or am I going to talk about paired disruption or distractors? I don't know what to name it. The team which talked about breakout room number 5. So which are you going to choose? Depends upon your objectives. So if you have to match your KSA to the COBE. Now, why did we learn COBE? Learning cycle for this reason, that when you're teaching knowledge, basically in the COBE cycle, that is nothing but abstract conceptualization, which means it is at this, if you're going to teach knowledge, then we have to, help learners grasp concepts, build theories, models, frameworks, etc., etc. So we are giving them the theoretical inputs for knowledge. For skills, obviously, we are going to make them practice. What are the skills that are available, like active listening skills, conflict resolution skills, decision-making skills, problem-solving skills, software development, coding skills, how to operate a machinery skill. So that is a skill. So that in the COBE's learning cycle comes under concrete experience and active experimentation. If it is an attitude that we are looking at as an objective, then under the COBE's learning cycle, it comes under reflective observation and concrete experience. So reflection on the experiences allow the participant to rethink on their beliefs, their biases, their responses, and that is how they bring about a shift in their attitude. So if we can do this, that our learning outcomes, which step of the COBE's learning cycle, then it's very easy to select. In the last class, we discussed, right, that for which stage, which training method helps. Okay, so concrete experience. We said role play, simulation. This is not an exhaustive list. We looked at this last class. It is the same slide that I have put up again. So if you are going to teach something on listening skills, then obviously simulations, like the one which Yashoda ma'am talked about, that, one person talks, the other person does not listen. How do you feel about it? So as a listener, we should not listen. We should listen. So whatever they felt when they were not listening on their phone, talking to somebody else, sending WhatsApp messages on the social media, these are things we have to stop doing if we want to become an active listener. So it's like a simulation. Okay, and if you're talking about reflective observation, so these are all the things that we have discussed last time. All I'm trying to do is connect the dots. So your learning activities divided into learning outcomes divided into KSA, which part of the Cope's learning cycle, and then we know for that particular part of the cycle, stage of the cycle, which training methodology to choose. Okay, now comes the design part. All right, so that is exactly what you have done. Yashoda ma'am, you had a question here?
Ma'am, I just wanted to say that every one of our participants, though we may have discussed finally, Prasanna and I discussed just speaking, and active listening, but other participants had even suggested using videos, using other methods to do the same thing instead of just, one person talking, one person listening.
Absolutely correct. Again, we can do all these tweaking and adapting depending upon the time that is available to you and depending upon the number of participants. But yes, we can do. So everything, how you conduct an activity, it is up to you. You're the designer, you're the whole soul, and you have to design. When you design, however, and you write it down on your piece of paper, what all should we write? Okay, so, or how do we put it across? So when you're designing activity, give it a name also. Okay, so breakout room number 2, team 2, Shivani's team talked about listen and draw. Very catchy name, right? So give some nice, attractive name, which will make people think, "Arey, hum log kya karne wale hai?" The more different, crazier, even better. So I take an activity in a creativity class where, the participants have to design a packaging system where I drop an egg. It goes into the packet, but it does not break. Name of the activity, eggs can fly. Okay, so you can think of any creative name, but that is what, when you tell your class that, okay, we are now going to do an activity, eggs can fly, or listen and draw. It's a very attractive activity, and you can keep referring back to it immediately. And instead of just saying, see, when we did that, see, when we did this, when we did listen and draw, remember what happened? It's easy for reference, very attractive and catchy. Okay. What are the key learning points that you're going to achieve from it? What is the number of participants that are required for this activity? Give a range, minimum, maximum. If you're actually having teams, then you might have to tell, how many members per team. So then it's easy, 10 participants, teams of 5, 2 teams, ho gaya. Then talk about the duration. How long are you going to require to conduct this activity? What are the resources that are going to be required for it? In this particular listening exercise, no resources were required except for that drawing. Okay, so in that listen and draw, there are going to be 5 pairs. So you're going to have 5 copies of one drawing ready with you. That is your resource. Okay. If you want it even more hands-on, you make the 5 people go in another room, draw it on the board, ask people, ye copy kar lo, this is what you have to teach. Even more immersive. So it starts from doing at that time itself. Either that, or whatever the resources you have to require, you can do it. Then you may, if you want, describe the activity in short, if notes, if required, instructions, and very important other discussion questions. Okay, I have an example of an activity just to tell you how all these points are put across, just for your reading, you know. So name of the activity, magic sticks. Key learning points, listen to others, team building, problem solving. Number of participants range is 6 to 50. You can take it anytime. Resources, a long light stick for each team, broom without its brush, etc. And an area for groups to stand. Description, team members work together to lower a stick to the ground using only the top of their fingers. So this is a very, very short description. Notes, it's a very simple activity, but usually requires a number of tries for the stick to be lowered down. Okay. Why this note? Because when you look at the activity, it's like, what is this? You know, keeping a stick here and then lowering it down. Ye kya activity hai kya? Therefore, the notes. Then come the instructions. What are you going to say? How are you going to conduct it? And finally, what are the discussion questions? This becomes important. All right. This is going to be shared with you. So I'm not going to waste our time reading what is given here. I just put it up here so that you can see how that design, entire design looks like. Okay. So this is your designing of the activity. What I would like you to do is provide clear instructions or think about what you're going to say, how the instructions should be given. This is extremely important because just to take the example right now, when Prasanna was describing the activity, I actually thought that there are 2 groups. One is controlled, one is the other, and they're put into 2 different rooms for the activity. It is only when Yashoda ma'am spoke that I realized, yes, controlled and uncontrolled, but they are in pairs. So there should be absolutely no confusion in anybody's mind when you are providing instructions. Okay, so it should be very lucid, clear, step by step. Okay, start by saying that we are going to have this particular activity, listen and draw. I'm going to pair you up with one other person. One person will be given a drawing and they are going to describe this other drawing to the other person. The other person is going to draw it. I need an identical replica. Clear, simple, start, clarify how does it start, where does it end, you know, are we going to get points, is there a limited amount of time, how will success looks like, everything. And therefore, it's a very good idea to actually practice this. Because only when you say it, you will realize, how do I put it across in a better manner? In our minds, it is very clear. When we start giving instructions, we may fumble. And therefore, good idea to put it properly in writing. And if not in writing, at least rehearse or practice the instructions. Let me ask you a question here. Okay. Suppose now that the activity is there, दोनों ने दोनों team की activities हम लोगों ने ले ली. Listen and draw हो गया. Then active listening का activity हो गया when one is the speaker and the other does not listen. Everybody, now this is an activity, I like the way you have designed that every member of your audience is actually engaged. It's not like a role play कि दो लोग कर रहे हैं, बाकी के लोग देख रहे हैं. So if they are actually engaged in the activity. After experiencing this activity, will learning happen?
If we allow it to happen, it will. For instance, we had in that activity that we have planned, we had given a 30 dedicated 30 minutes for the discussion of that collaboration that happened between one person to the other person. What was he trying to tell? What was the robot doing, if I may? Like that. I think Shivani wants to add. She was also in my team. So Shivani, yes.
Thank you, Avinash. So, as Avinash mentioned, post the learning, the discussions that we are going to have. For instance, what challenges did you face in this activity? There was a lot of chaos around. So, what was your experience? How did you deal with it? What were the emotions that you were facing? So, this basically gives the participant not really a learning, but it definitely builds a foundation for them to explore on. And this kind of stays with them that once they actually face similar situations like that on the floor, this would act as a reference. Okay, this thing which I practiced in the activity, something similar, so this is how I need to react, or this is what I need to keep in consideration. So in that aspect, yes, awareness is happening, and accordingly learning will happen when they actually start applying it.
Perfect.
And
So
I'm sorry, I'll just take 30 seconds more. And the questions that will be arised in this discussion will be taken up. What we planned was a 6-hour full day program. So will be taken as case study for group discussion post the lunch. With the same questions.
okay.
That's what you have.
Yes. So you're absolutely right. What is important is the reflection part. In fact, if you remember our earlier day one, we looked at a Dewey model, and he said that giving participants some activity wherein they can experience something, that is not when learning is going to happen. Learning will happen only and only after reflection. So the most important part of any activity is the debrief part of it or the reflection part of it. So preferably do not give it as a group discussion where every group is discussing on their own, because I want you to be there. I want you to be listening to what is happening. So you have to be facilitating this particular debrief. You have to be ready with your questions. What are you going to ask? What questions are you going to ask? Because this is not what you're teaching them. This is what you're giving them to experience. And based on this experience, you're going to take them from point A towards your learning outcome. So what are the questions that you should be asking? And after these questions, how are you going to give your inputs so that now they know what is to be done? So the next time I do this listen and draw activity, what is it that I am going to do differently as a speaker? What is it I'm going to do differently as a listener? So this is what they should have. That is the enable application part. So you encourage reflection, facilitate debrief, and enable application. All this is a very important part of your reflective observation hope cycle. Okay. I can give you here another model, which is only on reflection. This is given by Graham Gibbs. So Graham Gibbs model, he gave it in 1988. And he says that this is exactly what I've spoken just now. He's just put it up in a model. So even Shivani said, the first question you're going to ask is, what happened? Did you get the drawing accurately? Or in case of Yashoda ma'am's activity, how did you feel when you spoke? Did he understand anything when I questioned him? Unko kya samjha? So how much percentage of what you spoke was remembered, understood, heard? So you're starting with a description of what really happened. Then you might go in for the next question, that what happened? Like again, Shivani mentioned this, feelings. Kaise laga aapko? You know, so in this activity where one person listens, the other doesn't, talks and the other doesn't listen. As a speaker, how do you feel? Do you feel bad? Do you feel insulted? Can you continue speaking for long? Do you just do a rush job and finish it up? Do you try and break the other person and say that, no, no, listen to me. How can you not listen to me? That's a very rude behavior. Do you try to do all these? These are all emotional, reactions that actually happen. When you ask participants, they will not be able to tell you. You will have to elicit it from them. You will have to ask probing questions. Only then they will open up. So again, as a facilitator, first of all, you have to prepare the environment, which is a safe environment where you are able to feel, you're able to talk about it. Once this is happening, then you go on to the next part. Now we are going towards abstract conceptualization, where now you're evaluating what went well, which needs to continue, what needs to be improved, and what input can I give over here. That it is very easy to listen. And I have drawn exactly what you have told me to do. So maybe you said robot का picture देना है, and I have drawn a perfectly exact identical. I have thought that I have drawn a perfect robot as per your instructions, but perceptions are different. So maybe you have a line diagram, and I am an artist, so I draw a robot and I have a nice 2D view, so I have a side view of the robot as well. So the final picture is not accurate. Maybe better, but it is not the same. So this is the part of evaluation. What contributed to this? What led to this? Part of the evaluation. As a conclusion, this is your inputs. Ki abhi so that this doesn't happen, what do you have to do? What can you do? It can be an open-ended discussion, and you can add your 2 bits so that they get a step-by-step process or a plan of action. But at the end of your observations or debrief, they have to be ready with a step-by-step action plan. That now, if they have to redo this exercise, what will they do? When they go back to their work area, what are they going to do? So this action plan becomes very, very important. And that is the reason why I told you debrief ke questions tayar rakho. Okay. And then you have to evaluate the effectiveness. So sometimes you may have the time to redo the exercise. So, okay, now with all these learnings, let's try it again and you can do it. Or if it's a role play, you can try a role play again. If not, then you can actually ask people, okay, now that we have discussed everything, you tell me what are you going to do and give me an example of actual real-time application in your workplace. So what you're doing is you're evaluating the effectiveness. You may be able to actually ask or even check up later on after the training is over whether this has been successful or not. Okay, so this is an experiential this is how one designs an experiential learning activity. I'll just like to end by another small model, It is very similar to what we have discussed. In fact, it is built and added onto by Colin Beard. Colin Beard, Collinbeard. Colin Beard. His model is built on the Cope's theory, but it introduces and integrates one more item, flexibility. Okay, he says that, learning happens when, the learners actually will learn with a sensory experience, which is what we're talking about. So the learning environment, the physical engagement with the environment. It also happens because of the emotional experience. So how you feel during the feelings of the participants during the activity. Then you have to finally think about their cognitive experience. What did they think about? What are the internal processes that are happening? And lastly, reflective practice, conscious reflection on what was learned, and then drawing them towards active experimentation. Okay, for example, okay, you will find that this is very, very similar to COVES. It is exactly actually the same, but little bit of addition. Let's say, you know, we are talking about leadership class, you know, and you've given them a simulation exercise on decision making, like a desert survival. So what is it that they have to do? They are, you know, stranded in a desert and they've got about 10 things. And for survival, they have to rank these 10 things. That's the activity. So what is the environmental experience? What is the environment? They're actually doing it. So participants are given the scenario. They're looking at the number of items. They're using their senses. They may be given maps. They may be giving resources. They're engaging multiple senses that they have. Now, while doing this activity, the participants also feel certain emotions. Maybe there is stress, maybe there's you know, urgency because you've given a very little time. Maybe there is conflict. I say that this has to be ranked 5th, and somebody else says, no, iski kuch zarurat hi nahi hai. I'm handling that stress, I'm handling that conflict. So these are the different kinds of emotions that are coming up during the exercise. In the exercise, you're also ranking. So what is happening is cognitive intelligence. They're analyzing properties. They are collaborating with each other. They're discussing with each other. And then they're coming up with the learning, the ranking. Now what is happening is after this activity is done. So your entire experience, senses, everything has already happened in the activity itself. The learning and the transformation, that actually happens in the post-activity discussions. What Beard has added is that all these items or all these principles or all the frameworks that he has added, they are flexible. And this is where he's used the metaphor, the learning combination lock. You know, so to open a lock, we have to have a perfect combination. Similarly, for our activity to work, we have to have a perfect combination of senses, thinking, everything. So what Colin says is that you can adjust all the elements like experience, emotion, reflection, and action to suit the needs of the participants and to suit your learning outcomes, which means that you can contextualize your activity. It has to be relevant to the roles and the environment of the learner. For example, if you have decided to have a role play in, let's say, conflict resolution, and you're having a role play, but the role play scenario that you've given is a shop floor scenario. Participants who are in front of you are all in IT, dealing with customers. So you can't use this scenario. Role play is good. Activity is good, but scenario should be contextualized to the environment. Again, he says holistic, engaging head, heart, hands. 3 things that he talked about. Thinking, feeling, and doing. All these things need to be engaged to give the participant an holistic experience. But how much head, how much heart, how much hand, all that can be manipulated. And transformative. So this is where you have to encourage the person to practice it outside in the workplace so that there is personal growth. So learning communication, learning combination lock, adjust all these, tweak all this to ensure that you are getting the right combination, which will be perfect for your learning outcomes. All right. So I'll just like to end by telling you, or rather just putting it all together. So when you're designing an activity, use your KSA, check it with COPE, then select an activity. While designing it, use Colin Beard's add the heart, add the hands, add the head over there. So that activity becomes very, very meaningful. Then for reflective observation, use the Gibbs model to ensure that you get all the questions to debrief and give the models or the inputs or the theory that you would like to give them as your additional input so that they can take this learning forward into their workplace. Okay, that was the gist of our entire class today. Okay, so that we come to the end of our class. I'll just like you to think about whatever we have discussed and whatever you have prepared in your breakout room. So we had 2 breakout rooms where we took the answers. There were 4 which we did not talk to. So all of you actually think about that whether what can be added to your design factor. When you did this, should there be more questions on this or should there be more clarity on this? This is the reflection that I want you to do so that you will be able to design better activities. Okay, so any questions that you have?
No, ma'am.
No. All right. Okay, so then we can end here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for wholeheartedly participating
Thank you,
in the
ma'am.
whole
Thank you so
session.
much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
team. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.